Hi, I'm Alana.
Hi, I'm Sarah. Welcome to Pinch of English, Dash of Morocco, the official podcast of the American Language Center.
And today we're talking about confinement, specifically the confinement of 2020, back when Corona was just starting. Just to go, because in Morocco, we started confinement officially in March 2020.
Yes.
But I think we remember that clearly because when the coronavirus was getting started in China months before that, we never knew it would get to that point.
Yeah.
It was like just this huge turning point in this new disease that just shocked us. What do you remember about like the early days of just hearing about what was happening in Wuhan?
To be honest, I never thought that it's going to be this big.
Yeah.
So I just said, it will not come spread all over the world. I didn't think that.
Yeah.
So it was not in my head or something. I was like, okay, maybe it's just in China, and so it's not a big thing.
Yeah.
But months later, everything changed, and the virus started to spread, and many countries were affected, and many people were affected. So slowly we started getting scared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, especially it was a new virus. So we had no background about it. So no one knew how dangerous it was, what to do, what are the medication or what to use.
Yeah.
So the whole experience was new and difficult, and it was not fun.
I remember
it was not fun.
Yeah, I remember talking about it just being a new virus. And of course, sorry, I'll go back to what you said. I kind of thought oh, this is another thing another disease of the possible diseases to get. But I didn't know it would be everyone affected at the same time.
Yeah.
Kind of Ebola, it comes and goes. It'll be something like that. Yes, there's a new scary disease, but doesn't necessarily mean pandemic.
Yeah.
And people, getting it and being really sick. And I remember just on social media, people again, is new. So we didn't know that much. So people would be saying, well, if you get it, don't take ibuprofen. If you need to put your belongings in the sunlight. You need to wipe down your groceries.
Oh, yeah. Sanitize everything.
And it wasn't until months into it that we realized it was mostly airborne.
Yeah.
So just trying to figure out what's going on, and the scientists don't even know what's going on. That was, and just trying to control if you get it or not was so kind of scary, when you don't really know what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. And also the communication, because they didn't know what's happening, because it's a new thing. We were told you should do this. Oh, no, don't do this. Do this. Yeah. There was a lot of changes that it made it really difficult, again, because it's new. And also because I think we thought it's going to be like the other viruses, because I think the year before there was H1N1, and it was it was okay. I mean, some people were affected, but it was not like this one. So we never thought it will get this
bad.
Big. Or this bad. Yeah.
And but coming from seeing it on the news just in China, in that market, the animal market, to the day things started shutting down, that was that's oh, wow, this is real.
Yeah.
And what I remember is that the center was actually, our school had a vacation, which turned out to be lucky because we didn't have adult students currently taking classes. So that worked out for us. But just hearing that it was announced that schools wouldn't be going back. And then I remember when my kids' school closed, we had to go to the school and get the materials that the teachers had prepared for them. And it was kind of spooky, just the social distancing and people just being very having lines where we would stand and making sure there's a distance, and people being very cautious.
Yeah.
which is kind of funny because now there's a lot more corona. Even now, there's still a lot more of the virus than there was back then.
Yeah.
Because I think at that point it hadn't
Two cases.
Yeah. Or in Agadir, it hadn't even reached Agadir yet. And, but it was just the first time having to do that.
Yeah.
That's my first experience, like actually being told where to stand and how far apart. I was getting my kids books and supplies from school.
Yeah.
And that's like, oh, this is happening. Like, this is real.
Yeah, that was also my like first experience like this. And at the beginning they said, oh, just we're closing for like 15 days, if you still remember.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just for 15 days and everything is going to be fine. So everything for the first I thought, oh, it's just like 15 days. All right.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
And then 15 days turned to a month. Yeah. And then a month turned to 2 months. Yeah. And then 3 months. And then after the confinement, but still there were a lot of restrictions and social distancing, and then the mask were obligatory. Obligatory. And then it was like a process.
Yeah, because in the beginning, again, we thought it was short term.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And like I've mentioned this before. I joined a gym February 2020. So I put down I forget what it's called, where you have to pay a lot of money up front and then you just have a monthly fee after that. Yeah. So I paid all the money and then the first month. And then I remember like going to my bank and being like, okay, I want to like to put the paperwork in to have them automatically send the monthly fee for the gym. And then someone at the bank was like, no, you shouldn't do this. The gyms are closed. I'm like, well, reopen. I haven't gone back. And I've spent 2 years from that 1 month, my first month. I've still been paying for it. I haven't gone back just out of fear. I think I could go back now. But, just, after them being closed and then just being worried about them with Delta. So we really didn't expect it to be this, like that long, like a full 3 months, like locked down. Yeah. And of course, working in at school, we see the restrictions and actually have to enforce all the safety measures, and that was intense too. Yeah.
So during those 3 months, we actually started working online, and no one was allowed to go out, and you needed like a permission to go to a doctor or just to go to get groceries or to go for just very, very, very important like appointment. So you were not allowed to have a walk or anything. So I think that affected a lot of people on different levels. Financially, psychologically, because you're just in one place for that long. And I know some people who like lost their jobs, lost their loved ones, lost their homes. So it was really bad for everyone, but on different levels.
Of course.
Yeah. And then some people also like, because they were together for so long, like the spouses. Yeah. And it created the couples. So it created problems. So it was a heavy 3 months, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, of course, like restaurants, the tourism industry, schools, private schools, it really, luckily, like I think schools are able to bounce back easier than other industries, but really hurt a lot of industries. Yeah,
especially tourism.
Tourism. Morocco has such a large tourism industry. So definitely the home dynamic was very important. So I was lucky in the sense that my husband works in a vital industry. So he was able to still like leave the house and go to work every day. And I think that was good for us. Just healthy that we're not just always together and our lives are just at home. I mean, I think you need a balance between home life and work life. Yeah. And then thankfully I have 3 kids and they're all close in age. And I actually got to see them really like learn how to play with each other and bond. And I was so thankful. Like I have 3 kids So they weren't lonely. They had someone close enough to play the same games and do that same activities. So we had fun. Like we did have fun at home. It was a lot of Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
My youngest was 3 at the time, and I just remember getting a message from the school saying she had like a Zoom meeting. I'm like, my 3-year-old has a Zoom meeting. And for some of them, I'd have to like hold her because she did not want to sit like through meetings. That was the hardest, was with because my youngest 2 at that time, they couldn't read. Mm-hmm. So I would have to go through all their work and do it with them and explain it to them and really make sure they're doing it. So I was like the teacher for 3 kids doing different activities, different levels. And then they were pretty strict about every day we had to submit the work they had done. So I would be up, really late, just taking pictures and sending them to the teachers, showing that they had done all these art projects and challenges. It was a lot. And there are times when all 3 kids would have a Zoom meeting at the same time. So I had to go buy another laptop. We were using all our devices. That I never thought we would need so much technology. And then on top of that, I started doing English at home lessons, streaming them through Facebook. Mm-hmm. So we did it through the ALC websites, the U.S. Embassy website, and a teacher training, ETII training. So we were, I was doing that every day. So we do our lesson, but then we'd have to prepare. And so it's a lot of meetings with the coworkers on that project. So I would be live streaming and I'd lock myself in a room, mm-hmm. and my kids would be out and they would be doing their Zoom meetings. So we're all, using technology. So it was a little stressful at times, especially making sure my kids didn't come in and interrupt. Yeah. As we've seen in some funny videos of like parents being like, live interviews on like BBC being interrupted by a kid. But we were fortunate. I kept my job. We were very fortunate. I still think none of us has had COVID. I'm knocking on wood.
Yeah, knock on wood.
So we made it fine. We were fine. Mm-hmm. And again, like I actually saw my kids bonding, and we had some good family moments. But it was weird. I would go to the store just once a week and buy what we needed. I filled up my car with petrol or gas at the beginning of confinement, and I didn't need to fill it up again until after confinement. Yeah. And thinking my kids weren't in a car for 3 whole months. Yeah. So it was interesting. But
so our experience was, it was the same because we're all sitting like in the house, but we had to actually bring our my grandmother because she lived she lived in another house, mm-hmm. and because we were not allowed to like mm-hmm. go out or anything, so we brought our my grandmother to stay with us. And I used to go again once a week to get everything, like, mm-hmm. because I didn't allow my mom or my dad to go out because
it's more dangerous.
Yes, because they're like a little bit old, and also they're sick. So I said, okay, I'm going like once a week to get everything that we need. And and for work it was online. Most of it was online until like the kind of the end. We were like, we could like go to the center like once a week. Okay. The end of the confinement. Okay. So so it was just, we were staying home working. I was working, and then I remember that I cleaned every inch of the house because I had some free time. Yeah, that's so good. Every time you try to do something because you don't want to just stay doing nothing. Yeah. For example, for someone who used to go every day to work and all that. Yeah. So I needed some movement in my
Something
life.
to
So
do.
every time it was like a different. Every time I tried to do something different. And yeah, I think that was it. Again, I was lucky. I mean, so I had my job, and we got COVID. We didn't got the Alpha, not the
first
not
one.
the first one. We got the Delta.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when was that?
It was in 2021, like
Okay.
August.
Okay, when everyone basically got it.
Yeah, and like the whole house got it. And we were sick, all of us at the same
that's
time.
so hard.
That was really, really hard. And because you feel like, oh, you're sick, but you're not allowed to be sick because you have other stuff to do. Because my father was a little bit more sick than all of us.
Yeah.
So we had to go to the doctors, do stuff. So it was challenging because we were quarantined and sick, and we had to do stuff.
Yeah.
We had a lot.
Really,
Luckily, we had friends. We had people who were like by our side, so they helped. They
brought food.
Food. They brought like grocery. They like could take us to the doctors. So we were lucky that we had like great people surrounding us. So it was bad, not a challenging experience, but still we kind of knew people who like helped us. So it was really good. So yeah.
I can't imagine a whole household
the whole
at the
house.
same time.
Same time. I mean, my mother was first. Like she was took a week.
Okay.
And then after that, I guess my brother followed her. Okay. Then my father. Then I was the last one.
Wow.
I was the last one to get sick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it was okay, and my father now is doing okay.
Okay.
So we were lucky.
Okay, good. Yeah, thank God. Yeah, that's really scary.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I think, because you said you cleaned your whole house.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
It's funny how, like, because I was really stressed, like doing the kids' school and just, and my own job. And then, I talked to my mom and she's like, I'm getting another puzzle, which is great. But she's retired and lived by herself. She got 2 cats. So they were kittens when she adopted some kittens. Yeah. And now they're really important to her. Mm-hmm. But it's just interesting how it affected people so differently, just depending on where you are in life.
Yeah.
What you've got going on. So yeah, just seeing my retired parents, like fixing up their house. A lot of people started planting like vegetable gardens. So my dad got this whole system of vegetables in the backyard.
Yeah.
Like really worked hard on it. And then, my mom just got rid of almost all of her belongings. She got rid of a lot of things. And then like I have a sister with a daughter. So they were dealing, like trying to make a bubble. So her daughter, she only has 1 kid. She could still have friends, but they wouldn't be exposed to a lot of people outside. So they kind of agreed with other families, to like the families wouldn't see a lot of other people, so their kids could play together if, they call it a bubble, like a confinement bubble, where it's just like 3 families together. Yeah. But, we were really careful with our parents because they're older and it was more dangerous for parents. So like my, I couldn't see my parents for almost 2 years, which was hard.
Yeah.
But like my sister would visit my mom on holidays, but they would only wear masks with her. They couldn't go outside because it was freezing where they were. And so it was hard for a while. But, thank God last summer when you, I guess, had COVID in August 2021, I got to go back and things were better. So because we were vaccinated and so we felt better about, being together. But yeah, I know so many people lost their jobs,
lost loved ones.
Loved ones. It's been a shock to the world.
Yeah. It changed like how we socialize. It changed how we shop. It changed how we work. So everything changed.
Yeah.
Everything.
And actually, like the move from in-person work to remote work really changed the US. Because what you had is in the past, like you would have someone working in New York, making in New York City, which is one of the most expensive cities to live in. They'd be making a great salary because jobs in New York have to pay well, but they would be paying insane amounts of money on rent. And it's even harder to buy.
Yeah.
And so when they were able to work just online, people are like, well, I don't have to live in New York anymore. I can move to a cheaper city, get a whole house, or even buy a house for what I'm paying for rent. So you had this big like movement in the US, not like the cities are still full, but people with well-paying jobs like in New York, they could go buy a nice house in Texas or where I'm from in Arizona, where things are much cheaper, and they could still keep their New York job.
Yeah.
I know someone who moved from California where it's really expensive to have a house, and moved to like a beautiful house in another city, kept his job. I think he's vice president or he's, high up in a medical company and doing fine. Just, goes down to California every month or so, but gets to live somewhere else. So a lot of change, restructuring.
Yeah. Yeah.
And us. Yeah. So I don't think it happened as much in Morocco because I think fewer jobs were able to be remote. I think in-person work might still be more important. And I haven't heard about, I think during confinement, like if people had a house in the countryside, maybe they moved to the countryside.
Yeah.
Because they aren't, like their kids aren't in school. They could go where there's more room.
Yes.
Especially if they have an apartment in the city.
It's too small for them. Yeah.
But like a farm or something in the countryside, they could at least enjoy being out. But I haven't heard of like a permanent move.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
But there's also psychological effects.
Yeah, of course.
So like you said, a lot of people lost their loved ones, and it was just frightening. I think you hear stories about how you would have someone with corona going to the hospital and no one else could go with them.
Yeah.
So I think that really hurt people to not be with their loved ones while they're sick or even when they died because they couldn't be with them. People having babies and they had to do it alone.
Alone, yeah.
Because the parent, the father, and this have to be the father, couldn't be with them. And yeah, so there's just the loss and the isolation.
The fear. The fear of losing someone, the fear of the virus, the fear of losing your job, the fear of the future, the fear of the financial stability.
Yeah, the uncertainty.
The uncertainty. So for me personally, it was fear.
Yeah. I have to say, like, before, like, 2019, like, my mom would travel a lot. She visited us, right in December 2019. And now she gets really nervous before flying anywhere. She gets just really kind of scared about being on an airplane with people.
Yeah.
And watching movies like with like pre-2020 movies where like there's crowds and people don't care and you're like, like so many germs.
Suddenly we cared about germs.
Yeah, you suddenly are just thinking about like all this exposure and being too close to people when you didn't notice it before. I do have to say, and this is just me, I don't mind not kissing people on the cheek when we say hello. I am fine with the elbow bump. I've never been wanting like to be close to people's faces really much. So I'm okay with that like change, not being really close to other people. But yeah, it's, and also I noticed going out of confinement into real life, going out was so hard. Because like I just, I forgot about this part about confinement and I'll go into what happened. When confinement started, my kids had just learned how to make cake. And they're like, we're going to make cake twice a day. And like the first week they did, we had so much cake. Not always good because they're little kids.
Yeah.
But, you know, I ate cake. And I had just stopped going to the gym that I had gone to for a month. And so I noticed I was not healthy. Yeah, I was just
weight.
And I tried to like walk around the house as much as possible. But finally, I ended up getting a woman who was my trainer, who became a trainer, and she did CrossFit. And she's in the city, and she's like, you know, really good like gym instructor, fitness instructor. And so I would do my live stream and have whatever meetings I needed to. And then in the evening, I would have her on my phone and she would yell at me. She was screaming at me and I would work out. It killed me. I did not enjoy it. But I got really fit and it was great. Like, so I did that during confinement for was it May and June? But as soon as we stopped having to be in confinement, I found it so hard to, like when we're leaving the house with the kids, doing stuff with them, I found it really hard to stick to that.
Because you have
more demands. Yeah. And my schedule wasn't so like controllable because when you're just at home, it's easy to be like, well, I will do this then and this then and this then. But when it involves like meeting people or leaving the house, every day your schedule's different and you don't have to control it. So I actually just like stopped. By August, I'm like, I'm not going to do it anymore. And like we were going to the beach by then. It was things had really started to open up. But I found going into confinement hard. Again, like being in charge of my kids' learning and sticking to that. And then coming out of it was just as hard. Yeah. Like you restructured your brain, you restructured how life is. And then coming out, it's like, whoa, like I have to get dressed, you know, get my kids dressed. Like it was just hard to, I think we're all kind of rediscovering how to, even now, like,
yeah, it's still happening. I mean, of course, now there are less restrictions. We're kind of living like a sort of a normal life finally. Recently. Which is really good. And we started to feel like relieved, which is good. But, you know, so it's still there. But I am personally happy that at least these changes are happening. And we're back to work. We're you know, like the restrictions are less and less. Not only in Morocco, but if you see all around the world, it's like different. It's not how it used to be, and people like some like removed like the masks, so everything is like slowly going back to normal. which is good.
And I think it's prepared us for this happening again. In some ways, just mentally and infrastructure. Like if another pandemic happens, we know how to use Zoom. We know how to like, we're prepared to deal with it better.
I think travel is still a little bit, you know, a little bit not smooth. It's still, you need to kind of prepare stuff and
plan, like just the threat of a border closures.
Because there's always that risk. Of getting stuck. Being stuck in somewhere.
But we made it. So not everyone. Unfortunately, a lot of people were lost. In
the process.
A lot of people suffered. So
but as you said, it's like a preparation for us in case something similar happened, or because there's, especially with this virus, there's always new versions. So I, to be honest with you, I don't want to be a pessimist or something, but it was one of the effects that like the confinement and the pandemic had on me. It's just like, oh, what if something happens? What if there is a new version or whatever they call it, like variant? it started to be like very hard to plan the future because there's no guarantee from the beginning. I know, but I think during these 2 years we felt it like hard.
Yeah, we
like
lived
you,
it.
you can't really plan anything because your plans will like change in a minute.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I still have that.
Yeah.
And I still feel that. So for me, planning the future,
it's, I mean, on one hand, you have to plan long term.
Yes.
For like to save up money in case of an emergency, but nothing's guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed. So, yeah, but again, I think the younger generations are going to be a lot more versatile, hopefully, just prepared to deal with things coming at them. I hope. So hopefully we'll be fine.
Hopefully everything's going to be fine, and all the restrictions will be removed, and life will get back to completely to normal.
Yeah,
that's really what we wish, and then we could socialize how we used to, and then do everything how we used to.
Especially this Ramadan, I think, when people now can go to the mosque.
I
just have heard so many people saying, like, we need this.
Yes.
March 2020, no one thought it would be 2 years.
Yeah.
No one thought it would be happening for 2 years. Oh, like, McDonald's just opened their play area by where we take our kids. So, like, we took them the last weekend to play. And I was like, I can't believe it's been 2 years. Like, since it's been closed. Like, just 2 years goes by fast.
It was fast.
We need our play areas. We all do. We all need to go back to that. So.
Every time I say I'm not counting these 2 years, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So I'm not counting them.
So, yeah. Well, we made it. And so thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This subject was a little bit heavy because it's something that we've all experienced. And I think you will also share the same thing as us because it's something that the world has experienced. So it was personal. We tried to share our experience, how we dealt with that, that part of the time. And
and please in the comments share how you experienced it, or if you have any feelings about the future. Are you pessimistic about it, realistic, or optimistic? So
thank you for watching, and see you for the next episode.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.